then I'm gonna good evening. I don't even know what time it is. Hello, hello. It's already probably filming, and this is the way it works. So
it is.
Hello and welcome to Mindful Conversations. This is Dr. Lori Monaco of Align Yourself Inc. Thank you so much for being here. And there we go. We are on the Zoom. I could see. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mindful Conversations. And we have a very, very special guest, very near and dear to me. Actually, all my guests are lovely and special. So I want to be that mom that does not favor her children. So, but this particular one, what am I going to say? So this is my, I'm not going to say just yet. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. So I'd like to introduce you to, I'm going to read this because I don't want to screw this up. I'd like to introduce you to this beautiful, strong, and amazing woman who also happens to be my friend. So I'd like to say I'm biased, but all of that is true. So everything I said is true. So I am biased, but it's true, okay? She is awesome, she's strong, and she's amazing. So this is Colleen Biggs, a founder of Lead Up for Women, which is an elite community of like-minded women driven by passion and purpose and power. I said it backwards, but it's the same, of which I am a member of. Thank you very much. And I have this beautiful bio that I'm going to read to you because Colleen is fabulous, and it has to be said. I mean, it just has to be said. So Colleen Biggs strives to reach all women through influence to encourage the understanding that, the understanding that in order to be, have, and do anything in life that you desire, you must first show up. Colleen survived an early childhood of chaos, loss, and abuse. It was through these trials that she gained the clarity to understand the magnitude of loving others unconditionally and realizing the power of community. She is an inspiration to others by helping them realize their worth. Yes, she is, by the way. Gain clarity and show up. She believes that life is about thriving and not simply surviving. She has extensive success and experience in corporate America for over 30 years, coaching over 300 CEOs, franchising, voluntary, national, and local community service, and numerous project launches. She has served as director for her church and organized women's retreats and local girls camps, as well as serves on several advisory boards. Most recently, she launched the successful business Lead Up for Women. Lead Up for Women is an elite community of like-minded women, as I said, driven by passion, power, and purpose. She currently has a weekly podcast and interviews 2 powerful leaders weekly to inspire, educate, and motivate on Lead Up for Women. Speak Up to Lead Up is the name of the podcast. She is an author to the #1 best-selling international book, The Anatomy of Accomplishment, and publishes a bi-monthly magazine. She travels the nation hosting powerful events as a global speaker and pioneer for women, empowering them, motivating them, and educating them to lead up in their lives without asking permission of anyone and by tapping into their powerful purpose. And if that is not enough, she is happily married. Her husband is lovely, by the way, and she has 7 children and 11 grandchildren. Holy crap. Where do you find the time? Oh my God.
Who is that person you just talked about? My gosh.
She's awesome. Isn't she like a
meet her?
autograph? I'm going to have to take. So why don't you tell a little bit about yourself, like a little bit more, or just, how are you? Here, okay, I'll do this. I have to get a drink because I'm dying over here.
No, it's fine.
What happened on the way before you got onto this?
Okay, so we all look put together right when we get here, right? But literally, I was just at Home Depot. I have this project. I want to install some shiplap in my entryway. And so we were going through all the boards, and we wound up with 16-foot boards, and my son has a pickup truck. So I'm out there in the sun loading. It's 105 today in Arizona. I'm loading 16-foot boards, but we have to put them in the bed of the truck over the front of the truck. So we had to tie them down, and then when we're driving, they're flapping up, so we had to pull over, zip tie them down, and I call Lori, and I'm like, I'm probably going to be late. I'm sweating my butt off. I call my husband. How quickly can you set up an area for me to do a Facebook Live? This is why he's amazing. He's like, I'm on it. I come in, there's this beautiful light. You can see me. It's like, you know, kind of getting dark here, but you can see me perfectly. That's why he's an amazing guy. And we literally were just running around like crazy. I was going 60 in my car when he dropped me off to get here as fast as I could. And I made it. But that's what it's like to be a woman. It's chaotic.
And here's the best part too. She texts me saying, I'm running late. And I'm like, honey, I'm not even like remotely ready. I decided to take my little one out for a quick bike ride. She decides to have a total meltdown, like when we get back in. So I'm thinking, this kid's screaming in the background. She's saying that she's running late. I'm like not even dressed. And she still beat me anyway. She still beat me on Zoom. But yes, this is exactly what being a woman is we make it happen, we make it work. And that is also about being mindful. So the big focus on this particular show is obviously interviewing powerful people. It's not just women. It's just tonight happens to be a celebration of women. But there will be men on my show. It's just that all of this stems around being mindful and really, you know, stepping up, being aware, being present. So everyone that comes onto this show is that individual. So it was great to have, and it was funny because when I was putting my crew together to say, okay, who I'm inviting all these people, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be on Thursday nights, blah, blah, blah. And Colleen's like immediately emails me, I'm in, you know, and I'm like, I'll take the next spot. And it's just, that's the way she is though. You know, I don't know, is that just escaping all the children and grandchildren? No, I'm just kidding. She loves her grandchildren and children. It's crazy. It's crazy. And she does this all. And look at how cute she is. I always want to I want her. Oh my God.
But I always say, you know, it doesn't matter. Just show up. It doesn't matter what you look like. None of that matters, right? It doesn't matter what you smell like, if you've been out sweating. What matters is that you just show up as you. And I'm not talking about you and like your hair done and your makeup. And, you know, that's all the artificial stuff. Show up in you, what makes you feel good. But show up as you. Like, what is your best version of yourself? That's what I'm showing up with tonight, because I do have favorites. And Lori was one of the first members of Lead Up for Women. She came to 2 luncheons. I met her by inviting her to be a panelist expert at one of my luncheons. And I fell in love with her energy. How could you not? You know, you are such a leader. You are the epitome of what a member of this community is. And you lift and you inspire and you motivate other people so that they can live a better life. And that is what we're doing. We're just doing it fully as a community.
And we did not pay each other to say all those nice things about each other. So it's just all freebies. We just love each other that much. And it was funny because when Colleen did approach me about speaking, we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. Like, I think it meant to be like a 20-minute quick, you know, hey, this is what I'm doing kind of deal. And then an hour and a half, we were on the phone call, and I was in love with her at that moment in time. And I love this organization. So we're going to talk about the organization because it is definitely something that the women out there, you need to know. But I want you guys to get to know Colleen. So basically, I have some questions, and when I asked Colleen what she wanted to focus on, like what if we're going to name it and we're going to say what's the focus or what's the topic, immediately how to show up and be seen in your life and not shrink back and play small. So we're going to get to that question. That will be the last question that we get to. So my question, you are a professional and an entrepreneur. You are in amazing health, by the way. So she's in amazing health and shape. 7 kids, 11 grandchildren. Holy crap, like I said before. You run a successful business, a podcast, a magazine. You write, you speak, you coach, you travel all over the nation. You are constantly designing and improving upon your vision, because she's right. I was in the beginning, and it's amazing what she has done in a year. Like, it's mind blowing what you've done, how you've transitioned, transformed, and like, it's incredible. So how do you create balance in your life?
Balance doesn't exist. I tell everybody that. There's no way to have perfect balance of health and nutrition and time with your family and love and career and service. It's all about priorities. And there are days where I'm the priority. There are days when my grandchildren are the priority. There are days when my career is the priority. And there are days when my health and time that I spend maybe outside hiking, and I spend most of my day working on activity for my health. So that's how I like to slice it down to that type of a pie. You will go completely crazy trying to find balance. You have to create the lifestyle and pick and choose what are your priorities for that day, because you should never feel guilty for choosing you. You should never feel guilty for choosing service or choosing your health or choosing a partner or family or your career. And that is one of the reasons why I started this, and we'll get to my why in a minute. But women are, trying to pick which identity that they need to go with because they feel like they can't have it all. Well, they can have it all. They're just going the wrong way.
Yes, I agree. I mean, we're always told that, and that's an expression. You can't have it all, and you want to smack the person, whoever came up with that expression, because the question is, especially when you're a coach, is you ask your client, well, what if you could have it all? Because you have to change that conversation. And so what would that look like? And so when we say like balance, we just mean that it's just about saying this is everything that's important to me. And you're right, prioritizing. This is what means something to me, and I have to fit it in. I have to make it work. And it might not fit in every single day, every piece, but it's going to fit in sometime within a certain time frame to satisfy me, right? Because it's about us. And I think that's the little juicy tidbit is that we often, right? How often do you hear that from the women that you speak to, that it was a hard thing. It was a hard thing for them to believe that they could have it all, that they could create the life that they want because they were told not to, or they told they couldn't, or there's social stigmas, or it's like a business is a man's world. Although we don't hear that as much, but it's kind of still.
It depends on which industry you're in.
Correct. Yes.
A lot of women come to me and they're attracted to what I have because they're in a men-driven industry and it's male-dominated. That's not a bad thing. But when you're the female and the males are used to having the bigger presence in that industry, it's not their fault or our fault. We're just all trying to figure out how to get along and communicate. And then when you've got women that are coming in large numbers, they just don't know what to do with that. They're not sure how business is supposed to run now from a female to a male. And, that is kind of creeping down now into the why of the reasons for this. So many women, and it all stems from childhood. And you know this, Lori, you're an amazing coach, and you work with individuals to help them break through and reset their mind shifts, because we have two choices in life. We can choose how we want to live our life, or we can choose to be a victim of how life happens to us and what happened to us when we were younger. So those are two choices, and those two single choices can be made in every decision that you make.
Yes.
So tonight, I could have blamed, oh my gosh, he's taking too long. He's not loading boards fast enough. We're not getting out here quick enough. I'm blaming all the other people at Home Depot because they broke all the boards and I couldn't find the boards I needed in the size. So I had to go with 16 feet. Now I'm going to be late, right? I could blame everyone, or I could say I chose to go to Home Depot when I did. I took the risk.
Yes.
Knowing I might not be back in time, but I am committed to my commitment to Lori. So I was going to do everything in my power to make it back. And if I didn't make it back here, it is nobody's fault but my own. Yes. And we tend to blame. Look at what's happening in the world today. We tend to blame other people for what's going on here.
Right.
And that's not right. That's not right. We have to take responsibility. And whether you believe it or not, look around, because you have created your entire reality around you. If you don't like it, change it.
Yeah. And that's a really hard pill for people to swallow. I mean, that's in mindfulness practice, you're talking about being present, being aware, but also accountability. Accountability is like a really huge piece. And I don't know if it's people, I mean, I see this all the time. I don't know if it's that people just don't want to step up because of fear, or if they just don't want people to think badly of them. And they don't realize that if they would step up like that, and it's actually quite powerful when you take accountability for yourself, your life, your choices, and then say, okay, this is, or, hey, I came from a bad family. I had a really bad upbringing. I had all this trauma in my life, but I'm not going to choose to be stuck. And in that, I'm going to move forward and be something else, you know? And so I'm going to actually jump questions. So we're going to get into specifically why this question is going to lead into it. Okay. So how has your past created your present?
No, 100% it did. So I want to go back to what you just said a minute ago. And the number one reason why people don't show up is fear. It's fear. And the reason that it's fear is because they're afraid to fail. And the reason why they're afraid, fear and afraid to fail, is because others will judge them. Because if you fail, if you show up and you fail, if I don't care about what other people think about me, so I failed. So then I just get back up and I learned a lesson and I do it again. But it's because of what others outside think. And that's the squashing part we need to do. Like, that's the one thing. If you leave anything with tonight, I want you to leave with, you get to make your own choices. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I do the rubber glue thing all the time because it's just the easiest. Like, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks back on you. It is so true, because I've been in corporate America for years and years and years, and they put you in a box. They tell you what you're good at. They give you specific, responsibilities, and God forbid you jump out of those specific responsibilities, have skills or, in other areas that you want to grow in, but no, that's not your job. Come back to doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing here, right? You're on this rat wheel of just this 9 to 5, or mine was more like 6:30 to 7:30, right? That was kind of my day. So let me wind it all the way back when I talked about in the beginning about childhood, because I was, and you've heard this story, but I was a very confident young girl. I think all of us were very confident children. Our parents told us we were awesome, we were beautiful, we could do anything, right? That's why we see kids that are 8 years old going on America's Got Talent and being on that huge stage, because they are not afraid. They just are confident, right? What happened between the confident child, which I was, I remember 6 years old, standing in front of an entire elementary school singing "You Light Up My Life," by Debbie Boone, that dates me, on a cassette tape, by the way, for those of you who don't know what that is. It wasn't an 8-track, even though we had them at home. But I went from this confident girl, and my parents, told me I was this great girl or whatever. Now, mind you, I did have a lot of abuse in my house. I didn't realize that my dad was actually abusive to my mother until I was older, like in my teens or my 20s, but he used to beat the crap out of us. That's all I knew, right? So I grew up with that, but I thought it was normal. I didn't know that other kids lived in households. When you grow up with that, these are circumstances where you cannot change your reality. When you're a child, these are things happening to you. So we all have these pains. We all have these scars, right, of things that happen to us. Yeah. When my dad left when I was 12, I say it was devastating as a child, but probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because he was abusive. So if you look at it from an adult looking into the situation, it was the best thing that happened for my mother, the best thing that happened for my family. It devastated me. And my mom just kind of went into hiding, and it devastated her. So I felt like I lost both my parents at the same time. And I honestly have to tell you, and I don't mean any disrespect to my mom in this, because she sees it through her reality, I see it through my reality. Yeah. I felt abandoned. I felt like from then on, I raised myself. There was fighting in my house amongst my brothers and sisters. My mom sent my brother to go live with my dad. My sister decided to be a hermit and go on it just became this, I didn't know what was going on. I got in all kinds of trouble. We're talking all kinds of stuff. Tried drugs when I was a kid. I had boyfriends that were bad. I got into another abusive relationship, literally, I remember a full day standoff of suicide with guns relationship. It just spiraled. I got married to someone that was abusive. I married someone that was an alcoholic, that was addicted to drugs. Like, everyone can probably shake their head and go, oh my gosh, I can relate with someone who I know, or I was in that situation, that happened to me. So I am not a victim. I'm not sitting here a victim, because I've completely changed the way my life is. I took those experiences, and I know women are living in that today. And I want them to have the opportunity to be in a community of women that will not judge them, that will not be competitive with them. And as I decided to finally, I say we block ourselves like in this cage, right? We protect ourselves. I don't want to get hurt, so I got to stay back. Another layer, right? No, that person hurt me, another layer. Before you know it, anybody you're married to or any friends you have, they can't even pierce those layers. They're so deep. They're like cement deep. But that's what you think you're living your life with. I wasn't showing up as me. I was just showing up a version of a shell of who I was, right?
Or what you think society wants you to be. That's the other.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So corporate America says, we want you to do this. No, you need to be good in this. I've heard you have poor communication skills. You're not a leader. I've heard it all. Like I've heard everything. So it took me a long time to work my way up in the corporate ladder. When I retired from corporate, is what I call it, I was like the highest executive under the CEO, and I couldn't figure out why women at my same level were competitive with me consistently. Just competition, comparison. So I couldn't figure out why they didn't like me. So I would try harder with them, and I was, sympathetic, empathetic. I wanted to be everyone's friend, whatever it was. And I just wanted to help people, right? Be that servant leader. I was very authentic. So I couldn't figure out, is it because I'm too authentic and I'm too myself, right? Because once you start doing the self-development and you wake up, you start seeing things almost like a third party from the outside.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. I tell that all the time. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
I felt myself hovering over my corporate work. And I felt like I was playing in a kindergarten sandbox. Again, no disrespect for the company I worked for. It's just how I felt. I can't excuse how I felt, right?
Right.
It's my opinion. It's how I felt. And I was feeling like maybe I was outgrowing that kind of mold or that box that I was in. And that had already been a time where I had stepped out of the cage. I had allowed myself to be loved by my husband, and we've been married for, 11 years. And so I was really coming into myself. And maybe it was really coming into myself and everything I was going through that shifted my perspective of really what I wanted to do in the world. I really didn't feel like I had this purpose or this drive, or I felt like my power was controlled by what I was supposed to do, not by what I felt I needed to do. My calling was. So that was when I looked for an organization and couldn't find one. I wanted one that I could grow up the corporate ladder, learn how to negotiate for myself, learn to be a better leader for everyone around me, and collaborate with other women. But all the groups out there, you had to own your own business, and you also couldn't collaborate because they called it solicitation. And I was like, but if you're not competing, it's not soliciting. You're just collaborating with each other.
Right.
Nothing existed like that. So I said, well, then I'll just create my own. And so I did. So it started out, like you said, it was really for women to grow the corporate ladder, for women to become better leaders. And we still do all of that. But I've really brought on a large following of entrepreneurs. And as I was building the magazine, and as I was building the podcast, and as I was building the webinars and all these other platforms and these events and speaking opportunities and luncheons for women to be on all these stages, it became, just by accident, platforms for women to show up on. And then I was thanked. Thank you for giving me this space to share my story today, and I thought, okay, this is space for them to share their story. So as I kept going, the articles that they write, it's sometimes the first time they've ever told their story. So it's a way for them to tell their story, and it's very scary for them, but they're so proud of it when it comes out. When they do a webinar, it's a way for them to get in front of people like this and teach their creative genius and know that they're enough to show up for this, hundreds of people at this webinar. And then in turn, I lead by example by saying there's enough abundance, love, and success for all of us that we never have to shrink back. We never have to compete. I give you the registration list and say, here, they all wanted to meet you. They all love you. I think you should reach out to them. So it's a way for you to grow your community, your own business, and your own community. So by example, I show women you don't have to compete, you don't have to judge, we don't have to compare, because in this organization, there is no judgment. It's a judge-free zone. There's no comparison. And if that's the way you live your life, you're not going to be attracted to my tribe. You know, and so we have like-minded women. That's why I say we have like-minded women, because we're all thinking the same. We want that. We need it. We need to stop self-sabotaging ourselves as females. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
You know, find your...
We self-sabotage, and then we feel so lousy about ourselves that we take anybody down next to us too. So it's not even like that. I think that's where a lot of it stems from, is our own insecurities and our self-sabotaging behaviors. And then if we can't be happy, then we're going to be that way with other women. And I've seen it myself, although I have to say, though, I've been very lucky, because when I was teaching and I was department chair for a vocational school, the individuals, most of the individuals were women, even the teachers, administrators, and it was such a loving environment because it was a massage therapy school. So, and the owner of it, who was a gentleman, he was co-founded with his with a partner years ago. But he had that mindset. He was very loving. He was very compassionate. And as a result, we all were as well. So he attracted those type of people. And so we were like literally like family. So we were always that way. So I got spoiled. I mean, it's not like I've never worked anywhere else and I've seen that. But my sister she's been in computers since the 80s, like since the beginning, you know, when there was no, like, you just have a C colon, you know, with the semi or the colon. And now she's in cybersecurity, and everything that she's ever done has been male dominated. She's and she's a very bright woman, and she knows her stuff, and she continuously would make less money than her male counterparts. And then as a result, whatever women were around, a lot of times they would play the man's game. And again, I'm not saying anything against men, you know, it's just, it's all a game, you know, and they would behave that way. And then they felt like, well, I'm going to have to step on you to get to the top of the ladder, because I've got to get past all these guys. So I'm going to step on you. And it's awful. But when you let that go and you say, what is it doing? Like, seriously, like what does it serve? How does it help me? How does it help, you know? But the key piece was, you said it right in there, the juicy little piece. You said that you were being authentic when you were wondering why everybody was not like you're like really happy and really nice and just talking to everybody. You were being authentic. And I think that's always the part, is that people are not authentic enough. They don't know who they are. They think they know who they are. They think that this is who I'm supposed to be, until they actually decide, I'm going to get to know myself. And then once they do, then they realize that that doesn't serve anybody to do that. You can still climb without knocking people off the ladder.
You know, yes. And the thing that broke my heart once, and I'll share this story, and I haven't really shared this with anybody, and I've been on so many interviews, but I've never shared this story. One of the ladies I worked with, we became really good friends, and we didn't really know each other. We just saw each other in passing. And she was one of the assistants. And so I think I needed to work with someone, asked me to work with her on a project. And that's how I got to know her. And she said to me one day, I don't know why people don't like you. You are one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I looked at her and I said, people don't like me? And she said, no. And I said, why? She said, actually, I don't know, because now I know you, but I hear things like you're unapproachable, you're whatever. There was just all these words, right? You know, bull in China shop.
Unapproachable.
So what I think, honestly, Lori, I can't explain what those other people felt about me.
Yeah.
I was a very high successful producer. I always knocked everything. I don't know why that is. I just knock everything out of the park because that's just where I set the bar for myself. Right? So I don't think that's a bad thing. And when I for a company and they're paying me for a job and I'm doing that times 10, they're not unhappy. They're happy. Yeah. Well, it was all the females that would complain about, she's unapproachable, she doesn't have time for me. By the way, on the opposite side of that, I would say to them, because I was training so many people to do what I did, you can come to me anytime you need me. You just schedule it with me and let me know. I will help you with anything. You can never ask a stupid question. Like, these were the way I set it up with them. But yet they were the ones complaining. So it felt like they were intimidated by me. And I've even heard that word. How can I intimidate you unless you allow yourself to be intimidated?
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Right? Yep. And so that was really like this whole path that was happening. And I literally go back to the juvenile saying of that, because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. It doesn't mean shit. And I say that with the utmost respect to other people. And it is not egotistical. It is not me being a jerk at all. It is me saying, I believe in me. And what my opinion is my opinion. And I believe in Lori. And what Lori's opinion is her opinion. And she can have a strong opinion of one thing. I can have a strong opinion of something else. And we can be best friends and agree to disagree. And that doesn't change our relationship. But the minute she starts projecting judgment onto me, it's never about me. It was always about what's bothering her.
That's absolutely right.
And so when you're talking with somebody and you realize that, and they're having a conversation with you and they're judging you, you almost turn to kind of this empathetic ear, and you have sympathy for them because you know their heart is hurting. You know something's going on inside of them that they're like screaming out for help, but they're projecting it on you as judgment. So what do most people do? They shut you down, they turn off, they don't want to be your friend, or, you know, they walk away. People today especially, there's a lot of judgment, comparison going on, and people don't know the real story behind what's happening. So you want to change, look in the mirror. That's what I'm going to say. You should always be focused on you. But I can tell you my entire life, I remember my mother telling me how selfish I was. So I spent the whole first half of my life serving everybody, like not ever serving myself, always getting sick because I was always, you know, I would just do everything for everyone else. My last dollar would be given to someone else. My last hour would be given to someone else. And I never took care of me because I thought, oh, well, I can't, that's selfish.
Because it's selfish, right? Exactly.
And, you know, the happy wife, happy life, you know, putting on your air mask in an airplane before anyone else is like, can someone please pay attention to those things? Because that is true. That is true too. If you don't take care of this person, if you don't, you have this story, Lori, that's, I'll never forget how amazing it is. You know, you have to take care of yourself because if not, you'll die.
Yes.
Like that's where you were. You were at a point where you weren't taking care of yourself. And it shouldn't have to be to the point that we almost die or to the point that we're at a breaking point where everything in our life falls to
the rock bottom place.
But build it again. Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's what has to happen. You know, like that we have to get to those levels. And all that, like what your mom said to you, I mean, those are really powerful words coming from somebody that loves you, that you love, respect, and then all of a sudden they say things like that, and then boom, you're like, okay, that's it, then I can't be selfish, so I have to do this. I grew up the same way. I mean, my mother never said that to me, but my mom was herself basically a martyr. Like everybody first, typical Italian mom. And I just assumed that was okay, that was normal. But I didn't realize that that it's not okay. You can, if you want to take care of people and you love people, you have to take care of you to be able to take care of those people. And I mean, to this day, she still struggles with not saying, you know, she doesn't say no and step up and just be okay with who she is. She's always so worried about what everybody else thinks. And it kills me as an adult to watch that. Before we go on to another question, let me just do some shout outs, because I keep looking at my phone. I'm looking at the comments. And so I want to say hi to Diana. My Aunt Mary Jane is on, and let me tell you, this lady's a fireball. She is, she's amazing. She's working. She's just this beautiful spirit, and she's one of my. I have two fantastic aunts. I mean, I have all my aunts are great, but these two particular ones, Aunt Mary Jane and my Aunt Debbie. Actually, Aunt
Mary Jane. Hi, Aunt Debbie.
They're all from New York, so Aunt Debbie. But they are just powerhouse women, gorgeous, smart, it's just a really hot, great positions. And so they were very fantastic mentors growing up. Margie's on. Hi, Michelle. And Margie says, hello, beauties. My niece Ruthie's on, and Frank's on. Hi, Frank. Okay, my sister came on. Hi, sis. Intelligent, confident women are often viewed as intimidating, which is why other women would say you are unapproachable. I have been told that in the past, which is comical because I have so many people approach me and start chatting with me when I'm standing in line at the grocery store. I believe it's the other person's insecurities that cause them to feel intimidated and pass inaccurate judgment. Absolutely, Lee. Absolutely. Yep. Hi, Mackenzie. My sister again. And this, again, I have one sister, so this is what I was saying, that she's always worked in a man's field. I agree with you, Colleen. Lori and I were told some ridiculous comments from our insecure parents. And then my sister says, Mom does complain to us about that as well. So always got to have my sister put that sense in. So, so you were talking about, so taking care of yourself. All right. So mindfulness practice, that's one of the things. And it's funny that I'm so glad that we're embracing it now, because the funny part is that it's been around for a long time. And people are now saying, oh, you have to have mindfulness practice, but it's been around for 3,000 years. But I'm glad we're finally applying it to ourselves. So mindfulness practice is also coming from a place of compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. And so being aware and being non-judgmental, disconnecting from things that don't serve us, but connecting to our environment, to those that do serve us, you know, so not attaching to the bad and connecting to the good stuff. And within mindfulness practice is self-care. So what do you do for yourself? Like, because you're so busy, but yet you're smiling, like you're smiling away. So what is your self-care? Like, what do you do?
Well, tomorrow I am getting a massage in the morning. Now, I didn't always do this. So I'm going to say the number one thing I do for self-care, some of the women might get this, is I have a house cleaner that comes in and cleans for me. And I do that because I like to clean the kitchen and do the deep cleaning when I want to do it. But I realized that I would rather spend time out hiking or going to lunch with a friend or doing something that I enjoy, or even working, because I love what I do. So it's not work to me. I would rather have this time to do this with you than to clean my house. I think it's because I'm old now, and I've cleaned enough. Like, it's just not anything that to me it doesn't serve me anymore. So I let go of it, right? And I like to have a clean house, so it's always clean, and they love cleaning my house because they say it's always clean. But it's all these little things. Like, I will get a massage every few months because it's for my health, and I love. And by the way, the person that I go to visit became a member of Lead Up for Women, and I promote her in my magazine. And, it's just all about also connecting with the women that are in my tribe. And so I want to also partake in what they offer,
Right.
to the community. So I do that as well. I have, it wasn't in my bio. And this is crazy. It was through meditating that both of these journals came to me. I had no idea I was going to publish 2 journals. ever. Never thought about it in my life. And as I was going through a program, I learned about meditation, I learned about sacred space, and I learned about gratitude. Those are like my three biggest things. And gratitude was the number one thing that worked for me. Every morning, writing down 10 gratitudes. And every morning, doing mantras. And every morning, reading about gratitude and meditating, which this brain right here, I have a really tough time shutting this off. Like, it shuts off maybe 4 hours at night if I'm lucky. It just doesn't. Like, I'm a go, 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 go. So for me to sit still for 5 minutes, that's like probably an hour walk for somebody, for me to sit still for 5 minutes. I exercise. I'm in a competition with my husband. So this works for me. All of a sudden I'll be like, hey, we're doing a competition for 1 month, every day, 25 push-ups, 25 sit-ups, 1 minute walk. He's like, what? And I'm like, starts today. And if you lose, this is what you lose. If you win, this is what you win. He's like, I'm going to win. I'm like, I'm going to win. So we do these fun little things that just kind of help us, accountability partners, because we will literally get out of bed at night and go run in the other room and do the sit-ups and push-ups because there's no way the other person's going to win. It's just like a fun little thing we do in our, relationship. But it's all about, for me, the other thing is I don't book anything. I've talked to you about this, Lori. I don't book anything on my schedule or allow anyone to schedule a call with me before 9. When I was in corporate and someone used to tell me that, I was like, you know how much can happen between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. at work? That's like 3 hours you don't get. Why would you do that? I work, or I don't if I don't want to, or I go do my health and my exercise, or I read, or I journal, or I, do something else. Maybe I'm working on a project. I just don't want my official phone call days where I'm accountable to someone else now to show up for something that they need before 9 o'clock. That allows me space to do what I want. So therefore I get to choose that time.
That's correct.
That's what I love about it. That time is so important to me. It's always in my gratitude every day. I'm thankful for time. Why? Because I choose what I do with my time.
That's right. That's right. Self-care, it's funny, self-care, people always think, oh, self-care, I've got to eat right and I've got to
massage, nails, hair.
Right. But self-care is very broad. It basically, here's the way you define it. If you create a list of the things that make you happy or bring you joy, that is what's on your self-care list. So if you say, well, I do like getting a mani-pedi, that's part of your self-care. If you leave that and feel good about yourself and feel just, very satisfied, that's perfect. That's part of the self-care process. You like to hike. I have plenty of friends that'd be like, hell no, I'd rather sit on a beach and just, enjoy myself. Perfect. But you just have to identify what works for you, And so I think that's so cute with the competition with your husband. I think that's just, it's like awesome, But the other piece is that self-care also requires us to create boundaries, because we say, you know what, I am worth it. And I am going to honor myself with this. And sometimes honoring yourself the self-care is just the time. So if you say, okay, I'm not going to do yoga and I'm not going to do any meditation, but between 6 and 9 is my time for whatever I want to do. I could read, I could write, I could, if I want to go on social media, that's fine. But it's your time, and that's the boundary. And I think and you grew up in an environment, as did I, where, if somebody makes a statement and says it's selfish, then boundaries are out the door, because a boundary is selfish. But it's not a selfish in a bad way. It just means I know what my limits are, and I'm not going to let you go. I'm not going to allow myself to go past that limit, because I know what it does to me. And some of us just learned it the hard way over years of making bad choices and not having healthy boundaries. So we're almost out of time. So, and I know we need to mention about how to show up and be seen. So we'll have to make that a little bit faster. But what have you learned from the women that have become members of Lead Up for Women, or even the women that you've just been involved with that maybe haven't become members? But what have you learned with working with all these women? What's the big pieces?
The number one piece is, and why I talk so much about showing up, which you and I have talked already, underlying how you show up in life, setting boundaries, taking care of yourself, saying no, being your authentic self and not allowing judgment or criticism from other people stick to you, right? This is how you show up as your authentic self. And there's steps that you can do to get through that, which is you have to figure out where you're stuck. You know this, right? You got to figure out where you're stuck. Then you have to acknowledge exactly what that is. Then you have to have a reason why you don't want to stay there. What's the why of why you don't want to stay there? Then once you start working through that and you deal with it to the point where you can let it go, it creates space. And then now you can bring in more creativity. You can fill that space with something else that's a positive thing and not a negative thing. The biggest thing I have found with women, hands down, is we carry the heaviest luggage out of any specimen I've ever met in my entire life. Like, we are like pack mules. Legit pack mules. And you hear it from men, like, women, they just bring up something that happened 10 years ago. They never let it go, right? Because we have these memories and we just trap everything in there. It is so freeing to unpack things and let it go. And I'll share with you, when I showed up and my father passed away. He was not in my life after 12. I had seen him a couple times. I got a call from my aunt that my dad had passed away. She's my only living aunt on that side. I flew to Utah to go to the funeral. Do you know, when I got there, nobody at the funeral where my dad was living with his new neighborhood or friends, or I don't know where it is. He had a new wife by then. I don't know. None of them even knew I existed. So he never even told anybody about me. So here, my brother's there, my sister's there, they all know them, and they've never met them, by the way, but he must have talked about them. He left everything to my brother. No one knew I existed. So people would think, oh my gosh, like, what did that feel like? It felt like crap. But you know what was the best thing for me? I buried it all with him. And in that moment when I was there, I said to him, you do not have the power over me anymore to control my life. It is all in God's hands now. Like, you have to answer to the big guy. So I'm just going to let it all go, and I'm burying it all with you. And I've unpacked all of this hate, this, regret. It's gone. I feel nothing anymore. And I just buried it with him. And every year or two when I'm up there, my aunt and I will go visit his site for her. And I feel nothing. I don't feel pain. I don't feel anger. And when you let something go, it truly is just gone.
Yes.
And that's how we're able to move forward. And that's how you can be free.
Yes.
How you're free. And so that is the biggest self-care piece that women neglect, is how do we unpack, but truly unpack, let it go, release it, and it is gone forever. You're not allowed to speak of it, bring it back, or anything. I'm only talking about it today because it's something that happened in my past, and it's an experience to share with other people because they may have something similar. But my brother and my sister daily carry around their anger they still have for him. They carry it all around, and I could never live that way.
No,
never.
It keeps you completely attached to the past. It's got this long leash that keeps you completely attached to that past, and then you say, and I don't know why I can't get past this, because you are not allowing yourself to get past it. Yeah. Or they'll say, I'm past it. Like, oh no, it doesn't bother me anymore. I had, in my case, with all the stuff that happened to me in the last a few years back, everything that happened to me at that moment in time was so vivid. I knew every player that played a part in it by name, by this, by that. I knew everything. And then, I think it was like a couple of years ago, I was talking with somebody, and I was sharing a conversation. They said, oh, I was trying to bring up a person's name with what that was involved with all that past stuff. And this was a person that I'm like I knew the name, like numbers, like everything, every little detail. When I went to go pull up the name, I couldn't remember it. I said, oh, wait a minute. I said, wait. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember the name, and I don't care. Like that, and that's when it hits you, when the story doesn't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. When your past story, those bad, negative things, it does not matter anymore. It becomes just a passing story. Like you said, you say it to explain to people, to help them move on, to connect.
Yeah.
There's no connection. There's no emotional connection whatsoever.
Totally.
That's a beautiful, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's really huge about how we and we're right. I mean, it's not saying that men aren't like that. It's just that women much more so, like I would say. Yeah, much more so. So that is fantastic. So, well, we have a few minutes left. So tell me about, so why don't you tell, actually, I know about it already because I'm a member, but so let's talk a little bit about your business. Tell everybody about what Lead Up does, what you offer, and like what the significance is, like why it's such a great thing to be involved with.
I'm going to say, everyone knows why I created it now. I talked about it. I talked about the magazine, the podcast, why I do it. It becomes these platforms for women to show up on. It really is just that. I want to give women, I'm sharing the opportunity. They get to show up on webinars and podcasts and interviews and stages and trainings and workshops and in the magazine. All of this is created. We're doing virtual luncheons going forward. It's for you. I literally create them all for the women in the community that know something's not right. I'm not showing up the way I should be, or I'm not showing up enough, or I don't know how to show up, or I need a tribe to hold me accountable to show up. Because if I don't, I'm just going to work from my house, shrink back into my own little space, and this is where I'm going to stay. And then I'm just going to complain about my business is never growing. So that is the woman that generally wants to join the Lead Up for Women, or they already are on that hot streak and they get it and they're like, I'm in, because we need a community of women. I talked to 2 women today that like, boom, like that, signed up. They're like, I'm in. I love what you're doing. We need more women doing this. I'm supporting you in any way I can. I'm writing an article. I'm going to get on the podcast, because they're supporting too. So the more women we have together that are supporting, that's going to change the blueprint moving forward. So when we disrupt culture, when we disrupt society and we see it happening, we know we've changed the landscape. But it takes the golden thread of sisterhood. It's the one thing we have that links us with the women in Africa, with the women in India, with the women in Dubai, with the women in, Europe. That is the one thing that links us all together, is that we're women and we have a sisterhood. And that's what we need to cling to, and just be strong as a community, not fight, not compare, not judge. I am done with it. Yeah.
And let me tell you, Lead Up for Women's group is diverse. I mean, diverse, all ages, all backgrounds. And they're all phenomenal. Like because Colleen, with the magazine and the podcast, and there's always somebody highlighted. So you get to know these individuals, and their stories are so incredible, like these women. And I find myself just being enamored by a lot of these women. And there's women, I think what impresses me too is when, my epiphany came late in life, but there's I love when women get it at such a young age. Like, they're in their 20s and they're these powerhouses. I'm like, damn, it's like, that's like fantastic, And it's not like they came with silver spoons in their mouths. Like, a lot of these women came from some really tough stuff, and they decided to do something with that, as opposed to letting it control them. And you need that reminder. We all need that reminder, because we don't hear it enough. When those moments where we get to those pity parties, we're just feeling kind of low about ourselves, something happened, blah, blah, blah. It's you need to be jolted. Like, I guess that's what Lead Up kind of does, at least, and I know it does for me. It sort of jolts you back to your, like, the new reality of your power. Like, if you start to fall off, it's like, no. Like, I remember a few years ago, this was a couple of years before I met you, I set up a webinar to do for Mind Body, that the big, spa thing. And so it was a live thing. I'd never done one before. And so about 10 minutes in, I lose the feed. Like my internet just crashed. I lost the feed. Right now I'm freaking out. The girl's texting me. She goes, okay, just log back on. I couldn't get back on. Finally got back on. We stayed on for like another 15 minutes. I have no idea where I was. Lost track of what I was talking about. And then it shut off again. And so here I was thinking, okay, this is it. Like this is Mind Body. They're national. It's like this is a big break for me. I get off and I'm freaking out. I'm going, oh my God. Like, I can't believe this. This was like as if this is the only break ever. This is it. I'm, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to do. And I text message my friend Margie, and Margie. I text message Margie and I'm like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe this happened. This is so important, blah, blah, blah. And I was so in that space where I just wanted the pity. I wanted her to feel sorry for me. I wanted her to be like, that sucks, blah, blah, blah. She sends me one line. And what did you learn? And I was like, I was her. I was like screaming, looking at the text, like screaming obscenities at her, like, because that's not what I wanted to hear. And then I stopped myself and I'm like, oh, that's what I needed to hear. Like, you're right. What did I learn from this? There's no point in complaining about it. And it's just, we
don't accept invitations to pity parties. Yeah. But I agree that you need to cleanse. And there's some times where you need to grieve something that happened, and you need to cry and you need to get it out, or you need to laugh, or you need to whatever it is, or scream, because to me that's very cleansing. But you don't need to invite 200 people to your pity party.
That's correct. Right. And that's what we do. It's like now we can, we have this organization. We have, it's those moments that just shift you. It's all you need. It's just like snap out of it. Okay, redirect. Now what do you need to do? As opposed to, maybe you didn't do this, or maybe you should have done that. But that's not. It's a community that says,
it's a big community. We're like 12,000 women. So I'll share a story very quickly because I know we're out of time. One of the members emailed me, or she sent me a video, and she said, I just want to let you know how much this community means to me. I could not get out of bed this morning. And she said, I opened my phone and the first thing I saw was an email from you. And it said, hey, beautiful, I just want to let you know we spotlighted you today in the newsletter. Check it out. And she said, I looked at it and there I was, blasted to 12,000 people. And you said all these amazing things about me. And then you put me on social media. She was like, that's why I love you. Because it's that moment when I couldn't get out of bed that all I needed to do was just see something, that somebody out there cared about me, that somebody had my back, and someone thought I was amazing. And that's really, it's hard. Life is hard, and we're never done. It doesn't matter what level you get to, we're never done. We're always still working on ourselves. Yeah. It's having those people in your tribe that understand that and are there for you, to borrow wings, to give you wind beneath your wings, to just be there to support you through the journey, and to tell you when you need to be set straight.
You're being an asshole. You're being a douchebag and you need to stop, it's like, and that's, it's being real. It's being real and saying, listen, this is just take a different approach and you can do it. And so,
the most beautiful thing by showing up, and I want everyone to walk out of here with this today, if there's anybody left, when you show up authentically as yourself, you automatically give permission to those around you to show up authentically as themselves. So if you have children at home, you're giving them space by you being you to let them be themselves. And that's the best gift you can give them, because we are raising the next generation, and we don't want them to be fake and feel like they can't be themselves because they watch their mom not be themselves. That's the example. They learn more from watching you than things that you say. So the more we show up as ourselves, the better example we're being for people around us. That is what's going to change things.
Yeah, good. So if somebody's interested in joining or finding out more information, how can they do that?
We're Lead Up for Women everywhere. I make it easy. So leadupforwomen.com. We're Facebook Lead Up for Women, LinkedIn Lead Up for Women, Twitter, everywhere. Instagram Lead Up for Women. If you want to find me, I'm Colleen Biggs. You'll see my photo out there. I pretty much look exactly the same in every photo. So yeah, so you can follow me everywhere. And I suggest you do, join our private Facebook group, because you don't have to be a member for that, but that's where you get to collaborate. If you have an event or something, or a book launch, or you just want to get a recommendation of something posted in there, that's where we can collaborate. We're a community. We need to reach out and help each other. And that's the other thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I have people that I work with that help me. Lori has people she works with to help her. We all need people in our corner to help us be better, to help us stretch outside of our comfort zone beyond what we feel is comfortable, so that we can grow and create monumental empires or movements or whatever it is that we're doing. But when we truly are living in your purpose, you want change. And the only way you can do it is to start here.
Yeah. Good. What beautiful words to end with. So Colleen, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. And again, I'm going to post it in the comments in a little while to how to get in contact with Lead Up for Women. If you are interested, it's definitely worth it. And thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you guys next week. And remember, be you, be real, be extraordinary. And everybody have a great weekend. And Colleen, love you. And
thank you
so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.